takes on Norfolk State from Eccles Hall coming up next. Derek Jones and John Williams with you tonight for one of the biggest games of the MEAC season. Norfolk State comes in first place at 6-2. North Carolina Central a game behind at 5-3. And John, for Norfolk State, they will try to ride the talents of Jamari Thomas, the leading scorer in the MEAC.
Yeah, they're definitely going to need him to be able to score the ball. 6-foot, explosive transfer from UNC Wilmington. Greensboro native, has the unique ability to score the ball in droves, whether it's knocking down the three or getting to his mid-range jumper. He is a blur in the open floor. He's great at manipulating ball screens, and he can do it on both ends of the floor. And I think that Norfolk State is going to need him to be able to execute that in today's game.
Fred Cleveland on the other side for the Eagles. He has been outstanding as well.
Yeah, he is the head of the state for North Carolina Central. One of those guys that if he is clicking on all cylinders, the rest of the team can as well.
One of two guards on this team averaging 15 points per game. We are set to begin business here in Virginia. The opening tap controlled by Christian Ings and the Spartans. Ings trying to explode to the rim, lost the ball, still loose, and finally controlled by Jadarius Harris.
As you can already tell, like everybody's already on the floor because of the sense of urgency in today's game.
Cleveland, King, Harris, Gordon, and Smith, the five for Lavelle Moten and company. It's Harris, who is the leading scorer on the team, averaging just over 15 points per game. The three from the top of the key missing from Devin Gordon. The Spartans on the other side. Thomas, certainly one of the key cogs. Also, keep your eye on Kuel Mading, who is a force down low, leads the team in block shots with 28.
You need a guy like Mading who can clean the boards up, alter as well as block shots, and limit teams to one and done.
Oh boy, King, one of the best names in college basketball, grabbing that loose ball and banking it in.
Yeah, oh boy, King is really trying to get himself back into a rhythm. 2 weeks off with a bone bruise, starting to see himself get more and more implemented into this Central offense.
Ings at the controls, swings it for a Thomas three. Too strong, long rebound out to Cleveland. Gordon. Hook shot with the right hand trickles in from Perry Smith Jr. So Smith getting going here offensively after being shut out against Howard on Saturday.
And that's big. Coach Lavelle Moten challenged Smith from last game to be more of an impact player. You may not score the ball, but you got to do more, whether it's rebounding, setting hard screens, and rim running.
Second time these two teams have met this season. The Eagles grabbed the win earlier in the year in Durham. Mading with three, flips it with the right hand, spins out. Tough start offensively as Cleveland tries a three. That spins off the rim, a Mading rebound. Mading will try to light it up from deep. Out of bounds, and Lavelle Moten, we had a chance to catch up with him at shoot-around this morning, John. He's happy in the sense that there's another opportunity for his team to come out and kind of get better, but very displeased with the 90-point effort that happened courtesy of Howard on Saturday.
Well, defense has been and has been Central's DNA since Lavelle Moten has gotten there, because you're not always going to shoot the ball well like we just saw Harris do there, but you can always defend. We may not score every single possession, but you got to make sure that the other team definitely doesn't score.
He labeled that defensive performance on Saturday as disgusting.
Yeah, nasty work. Nasty work is what he said.
Blunt and to the point. His offense has not been nasty so far. 7-0 lead. 8 to shoot. Down to 5 for Ings. Down to 3. Ings with the right-handed runner. It drops home. So Christian Ings ends the drought, and the Spartans are on the board.
Yeah, I love Christian Ings' intensity, his motor. He's one of the leaders on his team, one of the guys that gets Norfolk State going vocally. He's going to have himself a big game as well.
Smith can't get it to go. And on the attempt to put it back, missed the rim. Ings back to it. No look feed in the dirt. Down low by Tyrell Bladen.
I like the no look from Christian Ings, drawing in that secondary defender and hitting Bladen, who all he had to do was just drop step and dunk that bad boy.
King's pass is intercepted. Thomas, the feed to Meding, and a foul will be called that'll send Meding to the line. Good tempo here early, John.
Yeah, absolutely. And it started with Norfolk State getting defense to offense, but you see here Christian Ings with the no look. Beautiful play.
Together by the great Joe Lenardi. The SEC is going to be one of the strong points of the NCAA tournament field, it appears, yet again.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, they've had year in and year out great play in basketball, going deep in the NCAA tournament. And the reason being, it's just been a great recruited league. Done a good job, great coaches, great talent. Makes sense.
John, you saw something pretty interesting there a few moments ago in the huddle with Rob Jones.
Yeah, Rob Jones brought a couple of his players in to tell them about the next strategy, and Fred Cleveland Jr. made sure to eavesdrop because he's like, hey, you're on the floor. I can be wherever I like.
And that is going to be a travel against Timmy Adediri. He's seen an increase in minutes over the last few games as Smith led out for the Eagles.
Timmy Adediri is a culture carrier for Coach Lavelle Moulton in North Carolina Central. One of the guys that does all the dirty work, Swiss Army knife, will guard everything, but also just does all the little things on the offensive end.
Bladen kicks it outside to Thomas. Thomas with the feed inside to Meding, and stolen back by Bladen off a near turnover. Betran tried to lob it to Bladen, went off his hand. Cleveland down the floor with a pass. The layup is in from Harris.
That is a tough finish for Harris there, who had a dart and all in him, but still was able to ward the ball away from him and finish with that contact.
Thomas, another lob attempt. Meding got fouled on the try, and we'll see if this will be 2 shots for Meding.
We talk about Norfolk State not having the impact down low that they had last year. Obviously with Chris Bankston, who could play with his back to the basket, could face up, could shoot the ball. But what he did bring in, Coach Rob Jones, was he brought in some athletes and players like Meding and Bladen who can get off the ground quickly. And so you saw them practicing in, you know, the pregame, getting themselves ready by tossing up alley-oops and getting those guys in high percentage situations where they don't have to do back to the basket face-up moves.
Meding knocks down the free throws. 4-point game again. Cleveland going at Ings in a battle of the zeros. To shoot. Down to 4. Down to 3. The three-pointer up. Hits off the rim from Kai Dixon. And Darden is injured. Darden will limp off. And when we return, we'll take a look at one of the pivotal moments in the history of college basketball, the secret game.
Everybody understood that change was needed and necessary for the sake of the game of basketball.
John McClendon, of course, one of the linchpins of North Carolina Central basketball, a part of that, and it was a very difficult time. Racial integration was prohibited at that time in terms of playing basketball, and hence the secret game. Two teams getting together to play some hoops. A transcendent moment in college basketball history.
I think it was also a moment where you've got the two local colleges in the Durham area. You know, there was talk. You know, like, hey, we can beat you. Hey, no, you can't. And it just lets you know and understand, like, hey, that there definitely needed to be a change in the game of basketball in order for the integrity to be at its highest.
And Isaiah Chambers into the game, one of the veteran presences on this team. And the rebound off the miss taken by Cleveland.
Notice Fred Cleveland Jr. is all over the place, and that's what we meant by the head of the snake. How he moves is how the rest of the team moves. He gets the ball, he can start the break and get the team going and get him in the offensive circulation.
Keyshawn Porter with the feed down low. Gets it right back from Dixon. 6 seconds here to operate. Long three with 2 on the shot clock. Clangs off the backboard. And that's good defense from the Spartans, and that's what they do, John. They're at the top of a lot of statistical numbers in the MEAC on the defensive side.
Yeah, defensively, they make life terrible for you. Your normal routine offensive set, they make you have to catch the ball further away from the basket. When you set screens, they'll ice you. Sometimes they'll trap you. They make it tough for you to get 2 feet into the paint. They do all the things that make it difficult to play the game.
Kick ball that will reset things to 20. The Spartans, #1 in scoring defense in the MEAC, #1 in opposition field goal percentage. So they can bring it from the defensive side, but so far it's been their offense that has been a little bit problematic. Ings with some room to operate. Can't finish at the rack, and the rebound taken by Dixon. And that is an errant pass from Fred Cleveland Jr.
One of the few I've seen from him. I mean, normally understanding him, he wants to get down the floor as quickly as possible because going against Norfolk State in the half court can be detrimental. So trying to get quick, early baskets, but if it's not there, that is when you have to run your sets and be tough enough to run them the right way.
Thomas misses the rim. The defense of the Eagles, they're pretty good too. Cleveland bumps Thomas. Tried to get it off the glass, could not. And that will lead to a possession for Norfolk State. John, what are you seeing out there so far from the Eagles defensively? We know they're one of the best teams in the country at defending the three. They're second in the nation in three-point percentage defense.
Yeah, they do a fantastic job of guarding the ball. I think they are stingy as far as making sure that they take personal their defensive assignments, and that's what you're seeing. And so they're pesky in their own right defensively and making it tough for you to get to your stuff and have to take tough twos and tough threes.
Transition offense created to Josh Smith, who gets the layup. Fast break points, another part of the forte of this North Carolina Central team. They're up by 6.
That's why they're trying to get out in the open floor and run as quickly as possible. We talked about them struggling with the offense, but when you are struggling in your half court, you get out in the open floor, and that starts with defense. That's the only way that you can get out in the transition. And there, they got a bad errant shot there, and they were able to get an easy layup from Josh Smith. Big finish with the left, ward off that defender.
They have shared the ball effectively thus far. 5 assists off the 6 made field goals as Jamari Thomas is at the line. able to knock down the first. The transfer from UNC Wilmington. And how about the improvement he's made in his career, John? I mean, that's a huge leap. 10 points plus from season to season.
Just talk about the choices that you make, right? Obviously, he was more of a role player at UNC Wilmington, but here he gets to get showcased. And so it's not always about the showcase team, but you want to go where you're going to get showcased.
King will launch. Catches the back of the rim, and a loose ball foul coming up. And this will be against the Spartans and Chambers.
This first, second team foul.
Side out here for King. Keep an eye on Emmanuel Zunabor in the paint. One of the big front court players for this Eagles team. Harris slashing in, the feed down low, off the window and in for Kai Dixon.
And Harris was able to turn the corner and get to the paint where he was able to draw a secondary defender for the dump off.
Approaching 8.5 minutes left. And we'll go the other way, an illegal screen.
You see here, Dixon's had to work extremely hard on Isaiah Chambers. Penetrate, was able to find the open man, and Dixon was able to finish. You want to make it easy for your bigs to score, and when you got prolific guards that can create for you, that makes a huge difference.
Good start for Harris. His Eagles are up 6. That foul, by the way, was charged to Isaiah Chambers. Off the window and in goes Smith. He's got 4.
Yeah, I like Smith's game. He's got a herky-jerk to him. Really can shift and get to his spots and has great touch around the basket.
8-point lead for North Carolina Central. The Spartans offense laboring in this first half. To the block for Bladen. Inside, Betran puts it home.
That was a great offensive possession for Norfolk State, who was patient and was able to get to the right place, even against the double teams that North Carolina Central was throwing at him.
Po' Boy King fouled, and that will lead us to a timeout on the floor with 7:32 left. 6-point lead for the Eagles. Happening earlier. How about that?
I mean, we got to make some theories here, obviously. I mean, maybe it's on a world tour, just visiting schools, letting them know, like, hey, this could be you. I've heard that Norfolk State's women's team is very good. I mean, just letting them know, like, hey, we hope to see you in that tournament.
Well, it is a trophy that has a lot of meaning as the road to March Madness continues along. And you can catch the NCAA tournament right here on the ESPN family of networks. Po' Boy King at the line sinks the first free throw. We were talking earlier, John, about Mr. King.
Po' Boy, what a name.
How about his middle name?
Izza. Po' Boy is a king. His dad was he knew what he was doing.
Yes. One of the great names. Forget about college basketball. It's one of the great names in sports.
Yeah.
Period.
Yeah. I love the story, too. Supposedly, you know, his dad's friend's name was Poe. He wanted to name his son Poe, added boy to it, put Izza in the middle name area, and put, obviously, the last name's King, so it all makes sense.
Christian Ings launches the 3, and he is fouled behind the line. Well, Po' Boy King is not alone with great names in college basketball. There's a look at some of the top names. Always Right from Rhode Island.
Force him left.
But how about Tennessee Rainwater?
Tennessee
from
Rainwater.
Utah Tech.
You better be able to shoot that thing.
No, you have no choice.
You have
to be.
Raindrops.
Yeah. And the outstanding Boo Buie, who is lighting it up for Northwestern.
Listen, you had no choice but to be a hooper with that name. You know, it's either that or you're getting cooked at school. And, hey, if you're nice in basketball, Boo Buie is the right name to have.
You bring up a great point. You've got to deliver.
You have to.
With those names.
You have to be good at something. I mean, you better be able to flip. You better be great at some kind of instrument. You better be able to hoop.
Shout out to Supreme Cook of Georgetown, which is an elite name as well, as you saw there, as Ings able to cut the deficit down to 6 at 21-15 in favor of North Carolina Central. Cleveland against Thomas. Good look for Dixon, and Dixon misses the rim.
Yeah, Dixon probably should have did that one more to Smith, who was alone in the corner, passing up the good shot for the great shot.
Bladen with the feed to Jenkins. He'll fire it up. He catches the backboard as well. That was loud. Cleveland down the middle of the lane, flips it up. He gets fouled. 2 free throws coming for Fred Cleveland Jr.
We see it now, like North Carolina Central getting out in that open floor. Talk about that Jenkins shot. You got to miss good, too. Or North Carolina Central is going to take full advantage of it, and they're going to get out in the open floor and see if they can get a high percentage shot or get to the free throw line like we're seeing right now.
Cleveland can't hit on the first free throw. 69% on the year, North Carolina Central from the free throw line. It's been an up and down ride for them from the charity stripe. Missed both. Jenkins board. Keep an eye on that number. Fast break points. North Carolina Central averaging 15 per game as they come up with a steal. They're in the top 20 in the nation in that category, 8 so far, as Cleveland on the attack gets fouled. And it seems like, John, North Carolina Central has been the aggressor here tonight.
Yeah, and we talked about it before. They've dropped the last 2 games. There's a sense of urgency there. And they don't want to drop 3, and especially to their rival, which makes a ton of sense why you're seeing the energy and the effort and the grit from this team. They're playing with the sense of desperation as well.
Chris Fields entering the game for the Spartans, as the bench looking to give this offense a bit of a boost. Spartans down by 6. Harris trying to find his way to the paint, cut off, good defense, into the corner. The Smith 3 is good.
Josh Smith, very smooth, great game. He reminds me of Jordan Clarkson when he was at Golden State. Not this Jordan Clarkson, but Golden State Jordan Clarkson. He's got that kind of confidence to him.
And one for Jamari Thomas as he tries to get this offense going. 3-point play opportunity on the way for Thomas.
And you're seeing Thomas, he's had to work extremely hard for his baskets. North Carolina Central has definitely put an onus on making sure that he is marked at all times.
Bonus situation moving forward here for the Spartans after the foul picked up by Perry Smith Jr. Thomas leading the MEAC in scoring. An all-purpose player for the Spartans club. Smith, who has 7, looking for double figures, can't get it. Jenkins with a rebound. The Spartans were without 3 starters when these two teams met earlier this year. in a 60-58 loss to North Carolina Central. But the offense is tracking to do the same unless they can kickstart this thing at home.
Rob Jones let us know, too. He felt that Norfolk State still had the capability to win that game and felt that they should have won the game. But you talk about how hard it is to win at North Carolina Central. They haven't won at Central since 2016.
It's been a tough place to win both sides of this series, as Smith yet again on the attack. He'll go to the line here for a pair of free throws. The Spartans haven't lost here to North Carolina Central since 2017.
Yeah, so you understand the importance of home court advantage, but also a home court advantage between two teams that have been storied at the top of the conference for the last 8 years.
And they've been the two preeminent programs in the MEAC over the last decade or so. As the second free throw by Smith, no good. 7-point lead for North Carolina Central. Thanks for joining us this evening. Derek Jones and John Williams with you from Eccles Hall. Ings, off-balance shot, trickles out. Battling for the loose ball. It was Keyshawn Porter who had it, but he got tied up. Possession arrow points in favor of the Eagles.
And honestly, that was a smart tie-up for Norfolk State, because they have understood that on each miss, even on makes, Central is out, because Central does not want to have to deal with Norfolk State in the half court if they can help it.
Porter, long jumper, and the ricochet off to Jenkins. Down the floor as Thomas came up short. Bladen's follow, caught the bottom of the rim. Numbers, Smith hanging in the air, can't score. The follow, that misses the mark as well. Thomas down the floor. Fields can't hammer it home. He gets stuffed at the rim. Loose. Bladen, he misses the dunk, but he was fouled.
What a frenetic pace so far. Both of these teams are trying their best to put the ball in the basket, but it is not looking good.
A fun one from Eccles Hall. Come on back with more after this. Outstanding so far this season. 17 points per game, almost averaging a double-double on the year, John.
I like his game. I mean, and then I also like his attitude, and not like in a good way. He's a dog out there. You wouldn't think it. He's extremely physical, blocks shots, defends, he competes. And so I think that is also what puts him in that wooden watch, is his ability to compete. Doesn't matter who he's going against.
The fans here at Eccles Hall looking on as after that crazy sequence, Bladen at the line. It has been a massive struggle for the Spartans team offensively. 4 of 20 from the field. Remember, this is a team that leads the MEAC in field goal percentage. They've missed 16 of 20 attempts from the field.
We talk about it. All bets are off when you're going against your rival. Both of these teams are going to try to do everything they can to stop the other from doing what they do best. And North Carolina Central, a lot better usually in the half court. I mean, has struggled today against Norfolk State in the half. So they've had to use other options, which has been to get out and run.
The Eagles have led by as much as 9. They're up by 7 here. Bladen. Fields will fire it up. That's an air ball. And the air ball was a surprise a little bit to Cleveland. That hit him. Back to the Spartans.
Yeah. And Cleveland was in the right place at the right time, making sure that he did box out, because if he didn't, Jenkins gets that rebound. But at the same time, it was a missile coming towards him. It's hard to catch that.
Smith reaches in, almost created a steal. Instead, Fields gets blocked at the rim, kept alive. Bladen right there as the shot clock expired, and they will review it. The initial call here is the basket will not count. They'll take a look at it, though, to see if Bladen beat the clock.
based on my eyes, it looked like it was a violation, but I could be wrong.
So the officials will see if the transfer from Ryder has cut this to a 5-point game. Again, if you're just joining us, this is a battle for first place in the MEAC as we get a look at Fields. That's close.
Yes, it is.
Right there, still in the hands. Oh.
You see it?
They are going to take a look a little further. The official still trying to dissect what happened here. And again, it needs to be conclusive for it to be overturned. That was a very, very tight call. Bladen still holding with one. Looks like that's going to be tough to overturn that just from that view. What you can't tell from that angle is if that ball is totally out of his hands by the time the shot clock expires.
And the officials were looking for an angle where they could see the top of the shot clock instead of the digital clock that they have at the bottom of the screen, just to be certain. Looking for every opportunity that they can and every angle that they can to make sure that they get it right.
If it is a shot clock violation, that further highlights the kind of night the Spartans have had. Out of that last media timeout, they were shooting 20% from the field for the game. The only thing that's kept them in this game is their ability to get to the free throw line.
Absolutely, and that is something that Norfolk State does extremely well. And it is because their guard play has the ability to shift themselves into the middle of the floor. They're great with pump fakes, great with pivots, and know how to get defenders up in the air, draw fouls.
The officials still looking for the best angle here on this play. It's going to be tough to overturn, but unless they can 100% prove that that ball left his hand before the clock expired. So no call, or excuse me, they will keep the call on the floor. They do not overturn it. Not enough to overturn the initial call, is what the officiating crew confirms. Eagles ball. Cleveland. Going at Betran, now peels off. Smith lost the ball, kept it alive, and a hammer applied by Azunabor. Emmanuel Azunabor with the dunk to extend the lead out to 9.
Josh Smith has provided some great minutes off the bench as a guy, when the shot clock is on its way down, has been able to create and get downhill and find the open man.
Turnaround shot by Betran, and he got hit in the act of shooting. Betran will go back to the free throw line to try to cut into this 9-point deficit.
And Betran is one of those guys, I mean, not known necessarily for shooting the three, capable of it, but good, strong body guard that can get downhill, can really get into the paint and draw fouls and score the ball. I mean, 1,000-point scorer. I mean, he knows how to do it.
Well-traveled, Alan Betran. 4th program for him. And he's had some success here offensively this season for the Spartans team. Double-digit scorer on the year. But this is one of the challenges that Robert Jones had this season. We talked about the pieces that graduated and moved on. Trying to find ways to fill those voids offensively and defensively have been a challenge, and it's a credit to him that they're in first place in the MEAC heading into tonight.
Well, because you don't have a guy that can just go get you 30 every night from multiple positions, you know, and Joe Bryant Jr. and Chris Bankston, those guys were huge. But you got a little bit more balance offensively here, where they're having to go collectively and be connected in order to score the ball.
Baseline J by Harris misses with a shot clock expiring. Betran feeds Jenkins. He's wide open for three. Knocked it down. So finally something going down from deep for the Spartans. It's a 4-point lead for North Carolina Central.
That's what Tyrese Jenkins does. I mean, he can spread the floor from three, hit some big ones in their last game against South Carolina State, and had to be able to get his confidence up in order to do that. And I think when he gets his feet set, he's dangerous.
Under a minute left to go. Cleveland between the legs.
Oh,
great looking layup from Fred Cleveland Jr. going high off the window in the land of the Giants. It's a 6-point lead.
And he absolutely had to do that against a long-armed 6'9" Meding, where he had to use his off foot to score to throw him off of his timing to block that shot.
Beautiful move by Thomas. He got hit. 2 free throws coming for Jamari Thomas. The Greensboro, North Carolina native will go to the line here. And we'll see if that three-pointer ignites anything for the Spartans offense, John. That's their first three-pointer of the night. They just feel like they need something to push them up to another level.
I'll say this, too. Like, Coach Moten can't be comfortable against this Norfolk State team. And the reason is because they are offensively dangerous. If they can get themselves going in a run, that is when they are terrifying to play against. And I think Coach Moten understands that. I think he knows that and is going to try to do everything he can to quell every run that they may possibly have going for him.
Another one on the way here for Thomas. Can't get it to go. He gets his own miss, and he gets fouled again.
See, these are the momentum builders, right? And we talked to Coach Moten about this as well as far as the toughness aspect. Toughness isn't being physical. It's doing the little things like bossing out at the free throw line. It's communicating on defense. It's sacrificing your body to dive on the floor. It's taking away the my bad coach situations. He was tired of my bad. Remember you talked about that?
Oh, yes.
He was like, how many my bads are you going to give me? Give me some my goods.
I love that explanation, and it's so true. He is looking for extra effort plays, and especially on the road in a spot like this where you have a chance to get a share of first place heading out of tonight. Those are little plays made by Thomas. Those can add up against you as he's able to cut it to a 3-point lead. Eagles up. More when we return. Norfolk State University and Eccles Hall hosting a battle for first place in the MEAC between North Carolina Central and the Spartans of Norfolk State. Derek Jones and John Williams with you tonight. The atmosphere is always fun here, John.
Oh, it really is, and that's another reason why you can never count out Norfolk State. They get themselves going into a run, and then the tables can turn immediately because they can score it in droves from multiple positions.
And that's the thing the Eagles have done here. They've also kind of taken this crowd out of the game.
They really haven't. Like I said, it's because they've been doing a lot of the little things. And the thing is, can you be consistent at it? Can you be consistent at communicating it, not falling asleep on defense and making sure your defender doesn't cut behind you or in front of your face, and being a good teammate by telling them you got their back in the help. All that stuff accumulates to high percentage winning basketball. And Central has struggled at being consistent at that.
Cleveland on the drive, draws the whistle against Meding, and Cleveland is shaken up. That's the first on Meding. And a bonus situation both ways.
Yeah, it looked like Meding was vertical there. But talk about Fred Cleveland Jr., who is a wily young guard here that knows how to draw fouls, knows how to sell it after the contact.
Can't hit on the free throw. That's been a point of concern here for the Eagles tonight. 5 of 10 from the line. One more for Cleveland, who has not been shy about taking it inside against the taller bigs of the Spartans. He gets a second.
And Cleveland struggled shooting a little bit in today's game, but one way to get yourself into a good shooting rhythm is to get to the free throw line. It can build momentum for you, confidence for you, and if you can continue to get that lane getting to the basket, it's going to be a high percentage.
The heave by Bertrand is no good. And at the half, a 4-point lead for North Carolina Central. More from Norfolk in a bit. King and Smith leading the pack for the Eagles, who lead. Williams with you from Eccles Hall. We'll have first half stats and much, much more when we return.
We're Ram. And
North Carolina Central at the half in the battle for first place in the MEAC. The Spartans in first place heading into this game, but John, the Eagles have turned this game into a bit of a bowling shoe ugly kind of game. They've dictated the pace so far. What have you seen through the first 20?
Well, I've seen that it is definitely a rivalry, and if you can't see that, take a look at this bow tie and check your vision right quick. Like, you got to understand the importance of today's game and what this means in the rankings. They both are fighting for first place, and they know what that means going into conference tournament play.
With the MEAC tournament lurking in mid-March, this game could very well have some importance in terms of seedings moving forward as we get a look at the game summary through the first half of play. The shooting for the Spartans, that's not going to cut it if they're going to win this game.
Absolutely not. And let's give a kudos to North Carolina Central and what they've been able to do on the defensive end by doing everything they can to disrupt the Spartans' offensive flow and making it really difficult for them to get to their primary offensive weapons.
And right off the bat, an offensive foul called against the Spartans. It's against Darden, and that's his second. Not a great way to start this second half for the Spartans.
Oh boy, King's on the ground again.
Cleveland, his jumper grazes the rim, and it'll stick with North Carolina Central. Cleveland has struggled to get going. It's been a half in which really some unknown surprise heroes have stepped up here for this Eagles team, as a steal made there by Thomas. Thomas gets going early in the second half.
And that was a rare moment of daylight for Thomas, and he capitalized on it immediately. It's been hard for him to get a bad closeout, and so he took full advantage of that one.
Smith in the lane. That pass deflected and stolen. Thomas, now Darden. Ings had an open look at a three momentarily, then lost the ball. More fast break opportunities again for the Eagles. The layup is no good by Harris as it trickled out. The layup is in from Bladen, and he has tied this game up at 30.
And this is the half that Norfolk State wanted to come out and execute, using their defense to create open floor opportunities.
Harris lost the ball. He dives, and it will be a turnover back over to the Spartans.
You can see Norfolk State taking advantage of numbers, getting fully down into the paint, and Bladen can get himself a high percentage layup at the basket.
He ties the game up with 18-20 left to go now in this contest. The Spartans will try to get an elusive lead. They have not led tonight. Thomas with the hesitation and the finish and one. Jamari Thomas.
Jamari Thomas using pace to his advantage. Him and Fred Cleveland Jr. are roughly at the same speed here, but he used his pace and dragged his steps out to get Cleveland Jr. up in the air and was able to jump into his body after the fact he was up in the air and draw that foul.
Second foul on Cleveland. First lead of the night for the Spartans.
Talk about how dangerous this team is, and also how Central has to be mindful of that. You can't make any mistakes. When you get the opportunities, you have to take full advantage of them, or Norfolk State is going to make you pay. You can see the nerves are starting to get the edge on North Carolina Central.
Cleveland stuck in the lane. Open look for Harris. Rainmaker three, no good. Meding grabbed the rebound, but a foul here first. And this will be against the Spartans.
Timmy Adediri, not a giant down there with Meding and Bladen, but battled and was able to create a foul there where he could give his team another opportunity to get some offense running.
King's corner three connects. Oh boy, King drops a three and we're tied.
It's a great answer for North Carolina Central, trying to do what they can to slow down this run of Norfolk State at the beginning of this second half.
That foul in the previous sequence was picked up by Bladen of the Spartans. A steal here by Cleveland. Pull up three by Cleveland. Money.
And that is huge. We talked about North Carolina Central not wanting to get into the half court against Norfolk State. They're throwing their gimmicks at them and making it tough for them to run their offensive set. So take advantage of the open floor.
Thomas against the contested jumper, knocks down the three. Harris got in his face, but Thomas knocked it down nonetheless.
Yeah, and we talk about Thomas being a playmaker for Norfolk State, that offensive bright spot.
.16.5 left to go. What a finish at the rim by Timmy Adediri.
Huge finish for Timmy Adediri, and we talked about him being that Swiss Army knife, that guy that does a little bit of everything, whether or not it's rebounding, whether or not it's getting steals and defending your best player, but also showing his ability to score at the basket with the harm on Bladen.
Adediri did not play much in his first 2 years with Central, and now he's a contributor to this team. He had a double-double earlier this season against Howard, and he's been a nice addition to this team.
As a walk-on. And that's the thing, you know, one of the things, once you understand Coach Moten's system and you have to be in the program long enough to get it, he can make anything work. We talked about in the years, this is one of his lesser talented groups, but one of his more connected groups, and they're playing like it.
Meding with the hook shot cuts it to a one-point game. Harris along the baseline, goes into a double team, missed the shot, and he got fouled. The defense can't seal up for the Spartans. The Eagles lead it by 1.
Oh my goodness! For the love of football.
Baylor Bears.
A lot of dogs in that conference, man. I mean, and rightfully so. I mean, these guys have definitely earned the ability to have this many teams. Rightfully so. I mean, it's just impact teams all over the place.
Jadarius Harris knocks down the first free throw. It's tough to watch North Carolina Central and see the number 52 without thinking about Devin Butts, who passed away. He previously wore 52 for the Eagles. He suddenly collapsed back in May while playing basketball during the offseason. And this program was definitely taken aback by his sudden and tragic passing.
Yeah, and Coach Moten talked to Harris and asking him, are you sure you want to do that? Because every time you put that jersey on, you represent something more than yourself. And Harris wanted to take on that challenge for the sake of his friend, and it's a beautiful thing to see.
After the foul, Spartans basketball. Chambers working it down low. Now Beal has his three, catch off the front of the rim. It ends up in the hands of Betran, who lays it in.
Yeah, those are those situations where you have solidified the ball and you have to make sure that you take care of it.
Right there on the spot down low is Perry Smith Jr. with an easy 2. That gives a lead to the Eagles of 3 points at 43-40. Thomas.
Wow. Yeah.
Almost another 3-point play for Jamari Thomas, but free throws in his future.
Yeah, Jamari Thomas, even though he's 6 foot, is extremely athletic, extremely quick, and can get downhill in a hurry. And when he does, he's strong. He's got great shoulders on him where he can take the contact, absorb it, and still get the ball up to the basket and give it a chance.
It's been a different second half for Jamari Thomas. 1 of 6 from the field in the first half. Perfect in half 2, and it's not an accident. The offense seemingly has come alive here for the Spartans.
Well, if you've seen, he's been able to get himself in the rhythm by getting to the free throw line. And that is because he is constantly putting pressure on the guard play of North Carolina Central and drawing those fouls. And so with that, now he's able to get himself into a shooting rhythm where you saw him knock down a tough 3 because his confidence is up. And it started at the free throw line.
1 point lead for the Eagles. Into Adediri. Adediri double clutching and scoring. Timmy Adediri with the bucket. 3-point lead for the Eagles.
And in order to get Norfolk State out of that zone, they're going to have to impact the paint. And that's one thing that Norfolk State's going to challenge. But Central's going to have to find a way to have an answer for Thomas, who is knocking down big shot after big shot to give his team a chance in this game.
Cleveland tries to answer. He cannot. Thomas with a rebound. He's all over the place in this half. Meding with space. Drives against Adediri, and he can't connect. It hits the back of the rim. Back to it is Harris, and he throws it to the North Carolina Central bench.
And you see how big Thomas has been, recognizing that Harris was waiting for the screen and giving him space so that he could go over it. But instead of him using that screen, he pulled up for the tray.
If the Eagles can win this game, they'll pull even with Norfolk State in first place. A lot of traffic near the top of the MEAC standings as Betran tries a three, no good. King with a rebound. Adediri. Fans thought maybe he traveled. King gets hit and one.
Oh,
boy, King with a 4-point play chance.
We talked about Po' Boy King getting himself back into the swing of things, missing 2 weeks, but it seems to be that he is finding that rhythm that Coach Lavelle Moulton was looking for.
Fouling the three-point shooter, a cardinal sin in basketball. And Po' Boy King, the beneficiary, as Meding picks up his second foul, as King looks for point 15. He has a 4-point play, and that's the lead for the Eagles. Thomas on the move, and he is fouled. So Thomas back to the free throw line again. The Eagles can't stop the ball right now, and they can't stop Thomas.
They can't, and that was off of a made basket. He was able to get all the way to the basket without really being stopped and forced to run half-court offense. And that's something that North Carolina Central has to be mindful of. How do you slow this guy down? Because once he gets ahead of steam, it's tough to stop him, and he knows how to contort his body in the air and draw those fouls.
Thomas no good on the free throw. The other thing that's at stake here tonight, the perfect home record of the Spartans. They're 10-0 at home this year. As Thomas tries for the second, he gets 1 out of 2. 3-point game. Ahead for Adediri. Adediri in the front court. Lost the ball off his leg. Stolen by Thomas.
And that is what that 1-2-2 does. It makes it extremely difficult for you to get out in the open floor and run, which is how Central has been able to get things going. And right there, that defense led to easy offense for Norfolk State.
Meding has made it a 1-point game. King steps into a three. Got it.
Po' Boy King is in the rhythm. His mode is all the way on.
9 straight games in double figures for Po' Boy King. Betran. In and one. Betran goes into Adediri and cuts it to a 2-point game.
Eagle foul number 5, shooting in the air. His third.
And John, once again, an aggressive take by the offense of the Spartans.
Yeah, Betran showing his ability to get downhill and get there in a hurry, warding off the defender and drawing the foul.
John, he is doing some damage here in half 2.
Well, coming off of a quiet first half, he has awakened in this second half, getting to the basket, knocking down tough, clutch threes, but also just playing with that fire, that competitive spirit that Norfolk State is going to have if they want to come out of here with a win tonight.
14 points in the second half, and he's also done plenty of damage from the free throw line. He's 10 of 12 from the charity stripe. His season high in scoring is 31 points. There's still just under 12 minutes left to go in this game.
At this rate, yeah, he could get that. At this rate. If he's going to be one of the few sources of scoring for Norfolk State, and he's in the zone right now, keep feeding him the ball and see where it goes.
One of 3 rider transfers at the line right now on this Spartans roster, Alan Betran. He knocks down the free throw to make it a 52-51 game.
You can see Norfolk State has thrown another defensive gimmick. It looks like it's a boxing one on Po' Boy King to make sure that he can't touch the ball. So, see, I'm interested to see how Central responds to that.
Smith, his left-handed layup attempt leads to a foul as he hits the floor hard. He was one of the big heroes of the first half for Central. And now he'll try to make his way towards double figures in scoring from the free throw line.
And Josh Smith, we talked about him earlier in that first half and how impactful he was at getting to the basket and getting out in the open floor and getting easy shots and making tough shots at that, but picking up where he started, getting to the free throw line.
A little bit too strong on the first free throw. So he scored 8 points in the first half, has been unable to get on track in half two as he finally gets something to go there. It's a 53-51 ball game. With the Eagles up, battle for first place in the MEAC. Potential impact on the seedings in March's MEAC tournament. As Betrand was trying to line up a shot, instead it will be an offensive foul against Thomas with an illegal screen.
Yeah, I couldn't tell if Thomas had been pushed into him. It might be.
That pass is thrown away. Cleveland was close to it, but that pass offline. What did you think of that call? I mean, I don't know that I saw a ton there.
Yeah, I feel like I let that go, man.
That was Thomas's first fouls. He's back to it here with the basketball. Approaching the midway point, second half. Thomas trying to weave through the defense. Betrand with a lob from Meding.
Talked about it before. Norfolk State had been practicing that. That is a part of their layup line, right? So how to get those bigs involved is to get them in high percentage situations.
Lavelle Moden wants a timeout. 53 all. John, the Spartans going aerial.
Absolutely, and it starts with the penetrate pitch action here. Betrand gets his man up, lets his man finish. Big finish.
You take a look at some of the other games going on tonight. Morgan State, Delaware State dropping back. It's an interesting thing to take a look at, John. We were there in the scope last year for Norfolk State and Howard, and that was one of the wilder games of the year in the MEAC. Last second win for Howard.
Right.
A lot to sift through moving forward here for Norfolk State to try to win the MEAC again.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be tough, and I think you got to have a little luck on your side as well because of the parity in this league. Things got to fall your way and shift your way, but I'm going to tell you, it was a fun game to call. My heart rate was up the entire time. Remember, I told you my Fitbit went, like, my heart rate was up at like 165. I had to sit down and chill out,
and then you stood up.
And then I stood up.
The ending, like a movie, a great ending brought you to your feet.
Yeah, I mean, I had a headache afterwards.
Inside, Smith is fouled. 2 free throws on the way for Josh Smith.
Josh Smith has done a fantastic job of creating some bench positivity.
To finish up that point about the MEAC tournament, interesting discussion today with Robert Jones about that game and kind of the aftermath of it. He said it's more so felt like that they're still the champion based off of how teams are attacking them.
Absolutely. It's the respect that you've earned as one of the perennial teams in this conference that have been at the top for so long and earned that respect. They lost to Maryland Eastern Shore earlier this season, and Maryland Eastern Shore almost stormed the court. And you could tell, like, it's pure joy when you beat Norfolk State, and it's because they are a reputable, respectable team.
Prior to last year's MEAC tournament, the Spartans had reached the last 2 NCAA tournaments, including beating Appalachian State a couple of years ago, as Betrand will go to the line. It'll be against Po Boy King, and that'll be number 4 against Po Boy King.
Yeah, Betrand did a fantastic job of creating some contact on his shot, and knowing that Po Boy King was a little late on that recovery, and he could use that physicality to his advantage to draw that foul.
First one from Betrand is in. And I was about to ask you how long King is going to stay in this game, and now he's out.
Now you need him, especially going into the latter part of this game. His ability to shoot the 3 and keep the Eagles afloat has been imperative, but now they're going to have to find another way to answer the run that Norfolk has been trying to get going this entire half.
Second by Betrand, no good, but he gets his own miss. Thomas lost the ball on the way up, and it will stay with the Spartans with 16 seconds to shoot.
And that's always dangerous for North Carolina Central when you see Norfolk getting more opportunities off of a missed free throw to score the ball yet again.
Bladen.
Ooh, nice.
And that's an offensive foul. Yeah. That was an easy call. Zunabor was there defensively, and Bladen blatantly threw that hook around his head almost.
Yeah, I mean, he was trying to get the space that he needed. Oh, wow.
Thomas with a steal. Jenkins launches with the right hand and scores. Thomas creates offense off the steal.
The more opportunities that you get to score the ball, you get yourself into an offensive rhythm because of that. And you just saw there, Norfolk State has gotten turnover, second chance, and we're able to score the ball and get back in the set defense and make it hard for Central.
Thomas back to the line. They just can't stop him when he gets downhill going to the rim.
No, no way, because we talked about how strong he is too. And great gravity, knows how to keep his balance with weight on him. And you got to be strong and have a good core to be able to do that. When he gets there and he's going to the basket, he can keep the defender at bay while going into the secondary defender and drawing that foul. It's a skill.
Thomas knocks down the free throw. 3 lead changes in this game. And the latest lead change finds the Spartans up by 3. Kai Dixon back in the mix. Second free throw is in by Thomas. And indeed, they have been active from the free throw line tonight. It's helped them stay in this game and now help build a 4-point lead. Cleveland. Now Porter trying to get around Thomas. The kick to Harris from deep. Tipped right to Dixon, and Dixon is fouled at the rack. He'll go to the line.
Yeah, a ton of effort from North Carolina Central to try to keep the ball alive. You don't have like an amazing shooting unit in, especially with Po Boy King out and Harris, you know, a little cold right now from the perimeter. So you got to depend on your defense. You got to depend on your motor, your second chance ability, and especially you saw he took Josh Smith out, who is also an offensive bright spot for North Carolina Central, to bring in the defensive dogs to get the stops.
Dixon sinks the first.
Checking into the Spartans,
we will see Jack Doumbia. And Doumbia, one of the returning players from last year's team. Second free throw in from Dixon.
Central's going to go into a 1-3-1, it looks like.
Betran. Open, Jenkins for three. Got it.
Tyrese Jenkins spreading the floor, creating a lot of chaos for North Carolina Central's zone, and saying that I can spread the floor too. That zone was meant to try to combat against Thomas, but he trusted his teammates, moved the ball from one side of the floor to the other. He's able to get a high percentage shot.
Harris with 5. Harris away from the rim, missed the layup attempt. Right to Dixon, but Dixon did not get that shot off in time. It's a shot clock violation. The Spartans building momentum, leading by 5.
And Norfolk State's defense has led the offense the entire half, and Jenkins making them pay from the perimeter.
And of course, the Bucks have been in turmoil throughout the year with the coaching change. Doc Rivers now at the helm. And we'll see what the Cavs have in store for the Sixers coming up in that NBA doubleheader.
Yeah, I mean, I hope it's better than the All-Star game and there's some defense played.
Oh, man. Yeah, it's very interesting where the future of the All-Star game could be headed. We shall see.
I just wish it would have been more competitive, you know, like, get me on the edge of the seat, man. Play around that first half. That's fun. See, I get to see your offensive back, but then, like, we get to that second half, like, I need some urgency.
Jack Doumbia with a bucket.
Yeah, Doumbia. Talk about another culture carrier, a guy that does the little things for Norfolk State. And
that ball will stay with the Eagles.
Yeah, he works extremely hard, and it's been the defense for Norfolk State that has changed the outline of this second half. They came out on a mission and applied a ton of pressure, started to communicate and talk on defense, rotate properly.
That 14 of 18 from the field in the second half for their offense, that'll help too, to offset what happened in the first half, an abysmal half shooting the rock for the Spartans, as Jenkins will try another three. Can't get that one. Betran, offensive rebound, puts it in.
That is why Betran has hit 1,000 points. He will do the dirty work. He will crash the boards, create second chance opportunities for Norfolk State, and right now everything is working in their favor.
Lavelle Moden and the Eagles call a timeout. They're down 9.
Sometimes.
And finishing through the verticality. And we talk about him being a 1,000-point scorer, and it's not because he can shoot the three. I mean, when you can get 1,000 points off of twos, that means you're out here snatching chains. And he has been doing that.
14 points. And we've talked about Thomas. Betran has been a huge help to this offense and has turned things around. Po' Boy King is back in the game. Not an accident. He went out with the 4 fouls, and the Eagles' fortunes took a big turn to the negative.
Yeah, and that really hurt North Carolina Central, being a guy that could really shoot the ball. What a finish.
Harris with the Euro and the layup.
Yeah, Harris using the inverted Euro, using his inside hand for the English shot. I mean, beautiful play.
5.5 remaining. Spartans up by 7, trying to hold their spot in first in the MEAC. Betran trying to cook with 6. Step back. Can't get it. Oh! The follow by Jenkins, but
was it over? Did it get out of the cylinder?
They say that is interference. That looked very, very close.
That's fine. I appreciate a good dunk. You know that.
We'll see if the Eagles can capitalize off the break. Cleveland into Doumbia, and that's a foul.
Yeah, just looking back at that, it felt like it did not make it outside the cylinder. Nah, it didn't make it.
Just hung there.
I know. You know, listen, you can't stay up in the air that long.
That ball, had he stayed away from it just maybe a half a second longer, maybe he would have had something there, but instead, interference called as Cleveland knocks down the first free throw.
I mean, it motivates you, you know. Get on that Vertimax. Get you another inch to the vertical.
He's got some long arms, too. He doesn't need a lot of help.
Yeah. Nah, you don't need much.
A pair from Cleveland. The Spartans lead down to 5. And an offensive foul called as Cleveland got hit hard. Bladen will pick up the whistle.
Yeah. Bladen.
Thoughts?
Man, I mean, I thought it was just a good sound screen, man. But at the same time, Fred Cleveland Jr. is a small guy. You recognize when he hits the earth.
That's the 4th foul on Bladen to match his 4 points. Adediri in the paint, throws it up with the right hand and in. Timmy Adediri.
At some point, I got to believe that he practices that, man. Like, he's made several of those tough layups in the basket and warding off defenders, and look good.
Thomas with some shaking and baking and a foul that will send him to the line.
Yeah, and Fred Cleveland Jr. is frustrated at the fact, and his teammates are trying to corral him and tell him, like, next play, next play. Don't let those situations take you out of the main mission.
Thomas can make this a 2-possession game if he is able to knock down the free throws. And let's see, the officials are going to get together here. It's a bonus situation. They indicated 1-1 because it's 18 fouls against the Eagles. Thomas thought it should have been a 2-shot foul. And he misses the free throw. Harris nearly lost it. Thomas is frustrated he did not get a 2-shot foul there.
But I will say this, that was almost about to be another Norfolk State possession, which they've gotten at a few times where Central relaxed in the backcourt, thinking that they were just going to be able to get to the basket or get to the other side of the floor without any chaos.
Adediri just fired that ball off of Jenkins' leg. And we are headed down the stretch for another close finish between the Eagles and Spartans. Come back to Virginia after this. Are going to be in all likelihood a part of the MEAC tournament, and it will take place there at the Norfolk Scope Arena March 13th through the 16th. These teams battling for first place here tonight. And John, as we talked about earlier, they don't want to be playing at midnight close to Championship Saturday. They want to make sure they have a top seed, 352, until we see who will be coming out of here with first place.
Take full advantage of every opportunity that you can get. If you can get a 1 seed and rest and relax, hopefully if you make it to that Saturday, then you're in better shape than that person that plays late at night. You know, we understand that the chips are at stake here, and you have to do whatever you can to find a way to get to that championship game.
Harris's three is blocked by Dumbia. Hammers it home. What a defensive sequence by Jack Dumbia. The block and the dunk. 5-point lead for the Spartans.
And finally, we see some energy from this gym. They've been waiting for this type of situation and scenario.
Adineri travels on the pass to Po Boy King.
Look at this defense that Norfolk State did as a unit collectively, making sure that there wasn't even a look at the basket. And Jack Dumbia finishes at the rim with the exclamation point, giving great minutes off the bench.
A spectacular defensive play and a dunk for Dumbia. And another hammer, this time by Meding.
You see, it took a while to wake up Norfolk State, and we talked about how dangerous they can be once they get in a run. And Central was going to have to do everything they could to make sure that they could prevent that. But now you were starting to see this crowd wake up and everybody start to click on all cylinders. But Fred Cleveland Jr., sir.
He makes it a 4-point game with that three, 71-67. What an answer by Fred Cleveland Jr.
And it's the right response, especially how Norfolk State has defended collectively as a unit against North Carolina Central. Sometimes you got to have that person that can change the layout of the game with their offensive skill and talent.
Thomas, after the missed jumper, called for a foul with the push, and that will send things the other way for North Carolina Central to go to the free throw line. Both teams in a bonus situation the rest of the way.
Yeah, this is going to be interesting. Kind of looks familiar, doesn't it?
We have seen this movie before between these two teams this regular season, last year at the Scope in the MEAC semifinals. Two from Jadarius Harris.
And obviously with different players on the floor. And it doesn't matter. It's about the institution, the programs, the coaching. They're going to give their best every time they see each other out here.
The Spartans 18 of 25 from the field in the second half. Dumbia crashing in. And he's on his way to the line for two.
You have to be impressed with Jack Dumbia's ability to impact the game. Hasn't played much, came in the back end of the second half and was able to provide a spark off the bench on both ends of the floor, offensively and defensively, starting with the defense.
He started 2 games this season, but John, you're right, he has not really been a big part of the proceedings here as of late for the Spartans. But Robert Jones called his number tonight, and Dumbia has delivered.
I love that about him. I mean, stay ready so you never have to get ready.
Preach. Dumbia misses, and the rebound corralled by the Eagles with 1:55 left to go. One possession game in Norfolk. Harris attacks, banks it in.
Huge shot from Harris, which could have been a situation where he might have got to the line, but still made sure that he willed it, did not leave it up to the referees to make the decision and put the ball in the basket.
Harris has 13. One timeout left for the Eagles. Nice feed down low to Betran from Thomas.
Man, let me unball my fist. That was a beautiful, beautiful pass from Thomas. And you see him over there. He's smiling. He loves this moment.
Cleveland with room for a three.
Wow. I don't know who he's pointing at.
Tie game.
I love it, though. 1 minute to go. What more could you ask for in the MEAC? Number 1 and 2 in the conference, battling it out for supremacy of the MEAC.
Fred Cleveland with a game-tying three-pointer. And John, he is not scared of the moment.
Nah, you could see too, Thomas was yapping at him, and he made sure that he responded the right way. He says, I'm a competitor too. I want this too. And what we're gonna see is a battle of wills between two teams that are really trying to earn the spot at the top of the mountain.
And he gives a little point to the crowd.
I know who he was pointing at. He was pointing right here at this corner. This cat in this green shirt. You let him know.
No timeouts now for the Eagles. 3 timeouts left for the Spartans. No fouls to give either way. Double bonus situation on the side of the Eagles. A 1-and-1 on the side of the Spartans.
One thing I will say is this is familiar territory for Norfolk State, who have been put in several situations, going to overtime in their last game against South Carolina State, and having the ability, Darden, being able to knock down the shot at the buzzer to take them into a win. They are used to high pressure, end of the clock situations, especially at home. So I'm wondering if they can use that experience to their advantage to get them over the edge in this last minute. North Carolina Central playing with house money. They're in a hostile environment. They have had to take on the villain role in order to be in this type of situation, especially here at Norfolk State. It is very difficult to win here. But if you can take on a villain mentality where it doesn't matter if there's bad calls, it doesn't matter if it's a hostile environment with the crowd, you're going to do everything you need to do, control your controllables to give yourself a chance to win this game.
Cleveland, Zunabor, King, who has 4 fouls, Harris, and Adediri, the 5 on the floor for the Eagles.
I'm intrigued to see if North Carolina Central can play defense without fouling. It's been hard against Thomas, who has been shifty and getting where he wants to be.
Betran spins to the rim, and it's rejected. Meding, foul line jumper is in.
Huge shot. Got to give tip your hat off to Zunabor for that two-handed block. But at the same time, Meding answering the call and getting his space.
King picks up his dribble, feeds Adediri. Back outside. No timeouts left for the Eagles. 5 to shoot. Cleveland flips it to the rim, tipped, and let's see. It'll stay with the Eagles with 1 to shoot. The Spartans stepped out of bounds. Again, reminder, no timeouts for North Carolina Central. The Spartans have 3 to use.
What is the commotion about over there?
1 second to shoot. Has to be quick execution here on the side of North Carolina Central.
Obviously, you see them putting Perry Smith Jr. into the game to create a size and touch around the basket situation. Obviously, North Carolina Central has to find a way to put the ball in the basket and keep this thing even, because then Norfolk State has control of the clock and will try to take full advantage of that.
Lavelle Moten, it looks like he's trying to get a play together.
Yeah. Yeah, and Thomas was in the middle of that play, so he knows exactly what they're trying to do.
King looking with 1 to shoot. Still looking into it. Adediri, and it is waved off. It's a shot clock violation. He did not get rid of it in time, and there will be a foul as well on the play.
On who?
Let's see. Take a look here.
I'm curious to see who the foul was on.
Like a timeout was called for sure.
On who?
Correction. It was just shot clock violation. And then a timeout was called
Norfolk
on
State.
the back end of that. So no foul called.
Okay.
That indication they were making was to signify a reference to how much time was left. 14.2 on the clock. Again, the Eagles have no timeouts left. The Spartans have 2.
Yeah, and you can definitely see that North Carolina Central, they got to play defense without fouling, because if they be fouled, they send Norfolk State to the line. And you don't want to give them that. You want to try to see if you can get yourself a steal first. And if they can get themselves a steal, give themselves an opportunity to get a high percentage shot. And so Coach Lavelle Moulton is not only talking about what needs to be done on the defensive end, because he doesn't have any timeouts, he also has put in what happens, what if then on the offensive end, if they do get the ball. So he has created a bunch of contingencies and scenarios based on what to do if they get the stop and what to do if they do not get the stop.
If they can't force a turnover here, the Eagles will have to foul. And if they do, it will be a 1-and-1. Into Beal. Beal lost the ball. Over to Jenkins, and now a foul is called with 10.1 left to go. A dangerous situation for the Spartans.
Yes, very nerve-wracking. Obviously, you see I'm still standing. And a lot of that is because North Carolina Central, we talked about it before, they're going to play with that desperation at this point even more.
Big free throws on the way here for the Spartans. Thomas will go to the line. He is 12 of 15 from the stripe. First free throw is up. That is good.
And Thomas has the ability to seal the deal here.
This is a big free throw. If he doesn't hit this, could get very interesting. No timeouts left for the Eagles. Second free throw, though, is good for Thomas. Cleveland with 7. They got to go quick. Cleveland lost the ball. And a turnover over to the Spartans with 4 seconds left to go.
And we talked about Norfolk State being in this situation before. They understand this moment. They have been in high-pressure opportunity situations in games where they have had to close and find ways to put the ball in the basket, find ways to win games, find ways to get to the free throw line. And so now you are seeing that.
Thomas is fouled. 2 free throws with the double bonus in play. And he can effectively put this on ice with at least 1 free throw here.
You've seen it. And the Norfolk State team that struggled in the first half and a back and forth in this second half and really had to fight tooth, claw, and nail to get themselves back into the game and maintain a lead.
One more for Thomas, who's been a monster from the line tonight. Gets a second.
And that lead is on his back. I mean, he decided and made the choice to say, I am not losing this game.
At the buzzer, the 3 is no good, and it's over. The Spartans stay in first place in the MEAC. They defeat North Carolina Central 80-74 after what was a tough first half offensively. The Spartans explode in the second half with a big performance, John.
Thomas, man, I mean, what a performance from him. His competitive nature, his fire. He willed his team into getting the momentum and the rhythm that they needed. Great energy from Jack Doumbia in the back end of that second half and giving a winning effort and showing the winning culture that Coach Jones has executed and made sure that his team has put forth on the floor every single game.
Let's get a look at the standings here after tonight's play, and this is huge. The Spartans now with a 2-game lead atop the MEAC, with North Carolina Central, Howard, Morgan State, Delaware State, South Carolina State all at 5 and 4 after tonight's games. John, final thoughts from you, sir.
Man, what a wonderful game. I can't wait to see what the MEAC championships look like. But I'm telling you right now, you could be seeing the championship game. I'm telling you, you could see that.
Another tight contest between the Eagles and the Spartans. The Spartans come out on top. For John Williams and our entire crew, I'm Derek Jones saying so long from Norfolk, Virginia. The Spartans win it 80-74. Have a good night, everybody.